Hey everybody, and welcome to Nomifactory. This is the unofficial version of this pack, which means that there's small quality of life changes. And yeah, Nomifactory. It's a Greg Tech modded pack and an expert style pack, which means that progression is gated behind certain machines, certain items, and other little things that you have to get as you play. And so, how this pack usually starts out is, you do the basics. You get your your pickaxes, your axes, and you just start mining away. And that's going to be the goal for a little bit. Um, Eventually, at some point in this pack, hopefully by the end of this episode, we will have some machines, or at least a machine. But in order to get there, we're going to have to go through the quest book, which starts with raw iron and iron. Eventually, you go all the way up to UHV, tiers of circuits. But the farthest I've ever been is LUV in my past worlds, and then I've been to IV in another one. How progression in this pack works is you start out at the lowest tier of energy, which is going to be your slowest machines. It's going to take the least amount of energy, and every single time you go up a tier, your energy usage doubles. So, let's say 4 amps of LV power, which is low voltage, is equal to 1 amp of medium voltage power, MV, and so forth. But you see how power exponentially scales as you go up the ages through that system. So we're going to really start out, and your priorities is going to be iron, copper, coal, gold, and redstone initially. And then eventually we're going to want to move into things like silver, lead, and tin. And then we're going to move into, your alloys and things like that as we, grow in our factory. At the end of the day, the goal of this pack is really just to have a big factory and to move into like almost theoretical territory as far as chemistry and your energy usage power, as well as your production. So I think what we're going to start out by doing is we're going to go on a little mining sesh, and we're probably going to knock out some quests. Usually these quests in the quest book are going to be like it's going to act as a guide of sorts to help us through this pack, because there's just so much to do, it's impossible to just go off the top of your head. Have some deforestation going on early. Always nice to see. We're industrialists, so it's not like we care about the environment. Another big thing is going to be rubber wood, because that's going to bring us sticky resin, and sticky resin makes rubber, and rubber helps us make circuits, at least until we discover methods of making. This is a pretty
Here
intense
we
pack.
are
Getting some coal, and we are working towards just trying to get some chocopyrite as well, which turns into iron. And I think there is what we need more than anything is going to be iron, but good ball. At this point, I've been mining for about 10 minutes.
Where is the iron?
I'd found no iron. Found a lot of chocopyrite though. And then here is us just getting a bed really quick, so we can set our spawn point, even though we're probably never going to die in this pack. We found a little bit of steel. It's not too much of a game changer now, but it's never a bad thing to have a little bit of steel. Charcoal is, usually your first early game resource whenever you don't have
Okay,
coal
so
on you.
let's get cooking.
At least
The goal right now is to hopefully
get into LV. Who knows if that'll happen. Drawers are just a really efficient way to store items. You can put like, I think, over 1,000 of any block in it. So if you have an excess cobblestone, or some gravel or some sand. It comes in clutch pretty much every single time. Here we're just spamming an iron vid. We're getting magnetite, vanadium, magnetite. The vanadium one is useless right now, but you also get gold out of it, and we got a little bit of redstone. And we're going to bed now, as any hard worker does after a long session of mining. The really early game, before you unlock LV, so your first day of playing, it consists of a lot of crafting. You just sit and you make your hammer for plates, you make your file to help you make some rods, you make your saw to do saw things, to saw stuff, and your wire cutters to make wires. What the point is of making machines is to move on from these tools. So instead of a mortar, you have a macerator to get things into dust. Hashtag achievement. And you use really just every machine, so you never have to do this again. These first chapters, you learn how to use your crafting table and do things by hand. You realize how terrible it is, and then you never want to do that again. And then automation comes in. This pack sort of, it takes you through technological ages until you get into almost theoretical capabilities of a factory. This section right here, it's just crafting, so you guys aren't super confused as to what's going on. We're making red alloy, which is used in making circuits as a wire. It's a mix between redstone and copper. And we're making conductive iron, which I think it's redstone and iron, and that is an LV superconductor. Superconductors are a lossless cable, which does not lose power over long distances. This is huge, especially for early game, because whenever you're not making much power, losing 1 EU per tick, or EU per block space, can actually be really big, because you're not making millions, you're making hundreds. So, 20 blocks of cables, you're in a tough spot. But through this lossless cable, it puts us in a pretty good position. Really all of this is just the start of the early game. We're making plates into wires, which is just such a stupidly expensive recipe. It's one plate is 2 ingots, and so it's 2 ingots to 1 wire. Once we get the wire mill, I think it should be 1 to 2. So it like 4x is the rate of wire making. And with fine wire, I think it does it by 8, which is incredible. We're just spanning rubber wood trees with our newly made GregTech axe. And we made a steelworks, which is huge. It's great for us. And by the way, we doubled up. We had to double it. And the energy conduit from about 30 or 40 seconds ago is just a way to transfer power that is not GregTech power. The first steel is always, it's a good feeling, It's the beginning of something new. It's the beginning of a factory.
Let's go! First steel. Am I right? Let's get it.
Now it's time to really, get in here and make some circuits. We gotta make boards, we gotta make resistors.
These quests, we got all the way up to, iron conduits, and now we're about to get into circuits. At this point, it's just about getting all the ingredients. And, yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm thinking about moving to the void dimension. That was one of the things that caused a little bit of burnout in my last world. But, I think we're just going to try to build it out a little bit out there. So, that's the plan. I'm going to do... And then... Oof.
Perfect. We just doing some building with the building wand. What this is, it's just a setup still on this concept is by threefold, I think. And we're just making, little chunk circles. So, and you do one side over the chunk boundary, one side inside of the chunk boundary. So every single circle has a center. We made a little sugarcane farm, as you can see. But we just keep working on it as the episode goes on. It looks kind of bad now, but just wait. It's alright. A little more crafting. Making some resistors. Making some circuit boards. The first circuit. This took like 10 minutes of straight crafting. It felt incredible. Always feels incredible. A little more building, if you will. At this point, we're just preparing. We're expanding things. We're just getting ready to start making some infrastructure. I think eventually what we're going to do is there's going to be a lot of circles. It's going to be a lot of cobblestone to fill in, but I'm sure we'll have enough, 100%. And we're in the process of becoming a factory. We're doing a little bit of crafting. Doing a little bit of, we're making some steel wire cutters. And we are replacing the the dual blast furnaces and putting them into the void world. Hello. So we are back. We've made a little bit of progress off camera. We made some fluid conduits, which is honestly really simple. It's just conduit binder and glass. We made infinite water source out of raw iron and water buckets. And I made this little sugarcane area over here. I think one of my biggest problems on I failed playthroughs of this game is that I didn't make the little things look good. And so it led to me sort of just not having fun anymore because of that, I think. But hopefully we can avoid that in this playthrough through just staying active. As far as making the base look good and trying to keep myself sane in this very grindy pack. So, a little recap of what else we did. We moved everything over to the void world. These are just chiseled cobblestone blocks and stone bricks. And that's really about it. There's nothing special going on. There's really just a lot of grinding at. We have recently ran out of copper for the 50th time because it's a very short supply since plates are 2 to 1. And we need some silver, which is what we are about to hunt. So, let's get it, and I will see you guys later. At this point, we're stocking up on copper, we're getting some lead, and we're getting silver, because it's necessary for some recipes that we're making, as far as these steam dynamos. I think we need it for just some parts, Just absolutely destroying these raw iron hammers. And here's the craft, or at least one of the final crafts for the steam dynamo. This is going to be our first way of making power through way of steam. Whenever you have a water generator, you pump water into it, and you add a burnable fuel source. In our case, is going to be sugarcane because it's very easily renewable. And it's going to create RF out of it. These are the final crafts for the LV converter. This converts RF power from the steam dynamo into GregTech power, which is EU. And at this point, we're officially in LV. It's a great feeling. So you can see we are getting the energy conduit so we can transfer power from the dynamos into the friggin' converter, and the red sides are going to be energy input, and the white side is going to be the singular energy output. This is going to be a little power introduction just to show you how GregTech Power works. Really all you need to know is that if you put a low tier machine on higher tier power, it will blow up because it has too much. If you put a higher tier machine on lower tier power and you have enough power, you can actually power it. But what you don't want to do is blow things up. The goal now is going to be the LV wire mill, and that's going to be our first machine. Eventually we're going to get into things like, simulating resources through deep mob learning. And we're going to use the ME systems for digital storage. And like in the in-game chapter, we are going to automate every single resource in the game, hopefully. What's crazy is all this footage I have to cut out me sipping my drink and coughing every like 2 seconds. This pack is a whole lot of fun. The problem comes from really the consistency of it. Or at least for me, whenever I go and I do like official runs of it, I'm just a very inconsistent guy. As you can see here, we're putting in a little bit of work, and we're just making some like a basic piston observer setup so we can get this sugarcane farm running. And that will be the beginning of our factory. That is going to be the basis that we start to expand off of, is this permanent power source that's going to last us for a little bit. It's really nothing too crazy. At the end of the day, super basic redstone, and compared to the automations we're going to be doing, nothing in complexity. But it's a start, and it's something that I think any person can be proud of in their first day of playing this pack. Also, underrated resource, use the chisel tool, because the pillars, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And marble, such a great thing to use. Never even thought of it until I started playing this pack. And man, like the white and the black, the basalt, it looks good. I think that may be close to a theme of a base or something, I don't know. Don't really have too many huge plans other than grind and grind. Trying and failing to make a steel pickaxe is something that I would definitely do. And then, we put a roof on the thing, Gotta make it look a little cool. And I think the glass. Here we are, we're just crafting some circuits because we are about to make the freaking wire mill. The freaking wire mill. Let's go. So, yeah. Wire mill done. Ping. We are in LV, ladies and gentlemen. And everybody else. This is the beginning of a new dawn. We're going to start out, and since this outputs 4 amps, we are going to put I'm going to put an 8x, just one, because eventually it's going to be greater than just 4 amps. But just for right now, we got that power, and we put in a 4x on there, and then we put in a 1x. Like a little pinkus. And we got this wire mill, and this baby is about to get plugged in. Bang. Watch her run. 1, 2, I think 2, which is freaking perfect for us. Absolutely knocking our expectations and our needs out of the park. Because 2 to 1 compared to 1 to 2, come on. And then with power, we can do some crazy things once we get these machines running. Once we get some alloys going, it's gonna be a good time for us. Yeah, see, like look at that fine wire recipe. And then right after this, we just spam the furnaces. We got a little bit of upgrades going. You know how it be. You know how it is. You know, we're done with LV now. I think we're gonna call it a day. This was 3.5 hours of game footage edited down into 20 minutes. So, is this video structurally sound as far as a narrative? No. Do you guys probably understand what I'm doing? No. But am I proud of it? Yes. Am I proud of that gold furnace? Yes. And we also crafted a piston. We are big dogs now. So to everyone that made it to the end, I just want to thank you all a lot. And see you guys soon, hopefully.